everybody, it's Alyce-Kay House, and I am going to do a tutorial on a really easy paper wallet that has little pockets that's great for ephemera, for rack gifts, for you could even use it as like a birthday card or anniversary card and tuck some various things like gift cards into it and everything. So anyway, I've done a couple of, or maybe 3 I think, videos on this tutorial, but I still get a lot of requests for it every time that, you know, like I use one of these in a rack or something, and they, you know, the videos get farther and farther buried. And so what I've decided is every time I make these, I'm just going to make videos of each one that I make, and I'll schedule them out at various times. And you know what? I changed the way that I do it too, and I learned from what I'm doing. So like this one is going to be so much easier than any of the other ones that I've done so far, because it occurred to me that I could just print my designs that I'm going to use on cardstock. Hello. And that's going to save sewing those 2 layers together. Okay, now of course if I wanted to use franken paper, that would be a different thing. But I'm just going to use a design that I got. These particular designs are from Pixel Scrapper, which I will link below. I really like the things that they have on there. They have a deal where you can get 5, you can download 5 things each day, but you also can have a membership where you can download as many things as you want. And so, I mean, that's definitely the way to go. So they have so many wonderful things, and I have a lot of fun looking on there for stuff. So all 3 of these designs are from Pixel Scrapper, and like I said, I will link that below. So what I did was I chose 3 things that have coordinating colors. I've got this beautiful old leaf design. It looks like it's a fabric or something with like that's really worn. And then I've got a plaid inside that has the same colors, and then a stripe that I'm going to use for the pockets. Okay, so this now just cut out about 15 minutes of work. I can't believe it. This is like so great. Okay, so I'm going to keep this size. This was 8.5 by 11, but you saw me just trim off the edges because my printer doesn't print all the way to the edge. If yours prints all the way to the edge, that's another step that you can skip. I am going to sew this. Oh, and by the way, I got this idea from Carol Tinson from a video that I saw a few months ago and loved it. You have to see her video. I've linked it below. She makes these so elegant and just really beautiful, and she has a lot of great ideas. So you do want to go over and see her ideas, and she has some wonderful videos, you know, for other things too. So be sure to check out her videos. Anyway, so I'm going to just make it this size. I'm not going to make it a small one, so I'm going to make it this size, and I'm just going to fold it up a little bit because I want to have room for at least 3 pockets and possibly more. And I'm going to get from my okay, you guys, I just got this, I don't know, maybe a month or so ago. If I had known how wonderful this thing is for making envelopes, for punching thumb tabs, for rounding corners on cards and stuff, and for scoring, this would have been one of the very first tools that I would have gotten for junk journaling, because it's absolutely fantastic and very useful. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the little scoring tool from that as a bone to make my crease really nice. I'm going to fold this down just enough to overlap this by about, what is that? Like about an inch. Maybe just a tiny bit more than an inch is what I'm overlapping by. Okay, because I want to make this nice and big. I'm still trying to decide if I want to ink my edges, and I think I do. I just think that makes it look a lot nicer. I think I'm also going to round the corners of this part here. So I'm going to use my envelope punch, which I'll link this below. I love this. It is so cool. Okay, so see how it just rounded that corner for me? And I think that just makes things look a lot more finished when they have rounded corners like that. And let's go ahead and round these ones too. Okay, and then I'm gonna use my vintage photo. Oh, let's go ahead and put this back in there. I'm gonna use my vintage photo ink to ink up the edges. And I'm not sure, I might use blue on the inside. Kind of thinking of that. Okay, so on the outside, and I'm going to kind of be careful to keep it on the outside because I'm going to use the blue on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and ink around all the edges and see how I'm kind of turning it like this. Okay, some may still go on the inside. We'll see. The main thing that I think is important is to try to keep the blue on the inside, and it may come onto the outside. If it does, then I'll just go ahead and re-ink with blue all over. And I do like to ink up the folds because that makes it look like it's been used quite a bit already. It makes it look like it's been worn in those places. I want to ink over on this side too. So I use these wallets. Oh my goodness, they are so fun. You know, because you can use them for so many different things. They're great in a junk journal. If you put them into a junk journal, then it gives you something that you can put ephemera and stuff into to take out and about with you without having to carry your whole journal. You can put in some journaling cards, and you can use it for collecting stuff too. So like if you're on vacation, you don't want to carry your journal around with you everywhere probably, so you can just take this with you and pick up, you know, little brochures or, you know, whatever it is that you want to use to put into your junk journal, and it's a great way to carry them. And then I think I mentioned I also think that they're great for, like, instead of a birthday card or an anniversary card or something, you could put all kinds of really fun stuff. Like, you know, it'd be really fun for like someone's anniversary or even a birthday if it's like an older person, like, you know, 40 and over, I would say. You know, like to collect, ask people to send letters or little journal cards or something, and fill the envelope up with that. That would be so cool. Or even ask people to send gift cards, and you could just put a ton of gift cards in there. Wouldn't that be so cool for like an anniversary or something? Now, is that going to the outside? No, it's not. Yay. Okay, so hopefully I can keep it from going to the outside, but if it does, then we're just gonna go with it and do the whole outside in blue. Okay, but see how that just makes it more defined? I really like the way that inking things makes things look. The blue is really, really dark. This is chipped sapphire, and to be honest, there's a different blue that I would get if I had it to do over again. I like this, but there's one that looks more like denim, and I think that's probably a little bit more of what I should have gotten rather than this really, really dark blue. But the dark blue has been wonderful. I used it in my dad's Revolutionary War themed journal. I did one for him for Father's Day. He does a lot of genealogy work, and he's done some research on some family members who fought in the American Revolution. And so I did, I did an issue of our newsletter on the battle that they fought in, and I did his journal for Father's Day with a Revolutionary War theme, and especially focusing on that particular battle. I found a bunch of really cool things in the Library of Congress that are copyright free and okay to use, and so I used those in his journal and stuff. And it would have been really cool if I had done like an envelope like this, but I wasn't making these at that point. Okay, so that's it for the outside of the envelope. Now we're not going to sew this until we have our cards, our pockets to go inside. So that's what these are going to be, and I think that's going to look very cool. So I'm going to set this aside right now. I'm just going to put it up on my sewing machine. And now my pockets, I want to make those just a smidge, which is a very precise measurement. I want to make them a smidge smaller than, narrower than the width of the whole thing. So, I mean, seriously, you guys, just a smidge. Just enough so that you can be sure that it's not going to stick out the edges. Okay, see, this is how much I cut off, just a tiny, tiny bit. Okay, and then I'm going to measure and see how big these guys need to be. Okay, so we've got, I'm going to use centimeters just because it's easier. 6.5 centimeters is the depth that I've got here. So I think I want to do to 7.5, 8.5, 9.5. So I can do 3. I probably could do 4, but I think I'm just going to do 3. So 7.5, 8.5, 9.5 centimeters. Oh, that makes it a little bit hard for this, but I can use my ruler. Okay, so 7.5, 8.5, 9.5 centimeters. Okay, so there's 7.5 centimeters. Bam. Oh crud, that cut's a little crooked. And with stripes, it really shows. So we're going to trim that down just a smidge. Okay, so 7.5, which means that this side here is, so I'm gonna just go with this side that I already know is straight. 8.5 centimeters. Would be nice if the US would go to metric system, wouldn't it? Okay, 8.5 centimeters. Let me just make sure that that was right. That that's really what I want. Oh, that's kind of low, but that's okay. I think that'll work. And actually, I can pull it up slightly, too. If you cut it too short, don't worry, because you can just pull it up inside, because you're going to sew this closed, so nobody's going to see that it doesn't go all the way down to the bottom. Okay, and unless they put something really tiny in there, which I doubt that they would do, you know, it's going to stay in its own pocket just fine. So it's not like you have to really measure as accurately as I'm trying to do here. I don't usually measure accurately either, as you all know, but I don't know why. Today I just feel different. Okay, so 8.5, 9.5 is what we want this time. Oop. Right there. Okay, 9.5 centimeters. And that leaves me with just a nice little strip that I can put into my Franken paper tub. That's too small. Okay, so we've got our 3 pockets ready, and I think I am going to ink the tops of these. I'm going to ink the tops and then just a little ways down the side on each of them, just to help them show up a little bit better, because see, when you put all those together, you can't even see that it's not just one paper, right? It looks like it's all 3 the same thing. So I'm going to first punch thumb holes in these. Let's see how wide they are. They are 8 inches wide. Okay, so I'm going to go to 4 on this so that they'll be centered. I'm going to put them all together. It's 3 that I'm punching through, which is kind of a lot. So I might have a hard time doing it, but we're going to try it. Oh yes, it went through. What a satisfying feeling. Okay, and then this, I want to also do a thumb hole on this. And it's just a little bit over 8, so we're going to go for just a smidge over 4, right there. Okay, and so then I want to re-ink that part. There we go. It just makes a nice little thumb hole. See how that is? And I really like that. It makes the whole thing look more finished. Okay, and I did on one of mine, I rounded, oh no, I guess I didn't. I thought I rounded it. I don't think you want to round the corners on these. What I was going to show you was I didn't like it as much. I don't think you want to round the corners on these because you want them to be flush with the side. Okay, so but I am going to ink these. I'm going to use the blue because I want them to stand out from each other, because especially with those stripes, my goodness, they just, And you don't have to go all the way down because that's going to be sewn inside of it. You're never going to see it. Okay, so you just go down a little ways so that it looks like it's inked all the way down. You can fake some of these things, you know. Okay, and ink this. I mean, look at this, you guys. We're going to finish this in less than half an hour, I'm sure. Or at least pretty close to that. If for some reason I go over half an hour, my camera will cut it and start a new video. Okay, the end will be there. It'll just be in a separate video, and I'll include a link in the description box below. And by the way, always look in the description boxes of my videos, because sometimes I think of things afterwards and it's like, oh man, I wish I had told them this. And so I include that in the description box. And I always forget to say this, but remember to go down below and like and comment and share. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe please. It just really helps me to be able to do more videos. And it helps more people to see the videos. There we go. Okay, I want that up just slightly higher. Okay, so since those don't go all the way, see, they're not going to go all the way down to the bottom, I am going to just stitch them a little bit here to hold them together before I stitch the whole thing together. Okay, so I just need to stitch it right here just to kind of baste it in place. I'm going to use a straight stitch for that. Just a little bit. I mean, I didn't even do a whole inch. Just a tiny, tiny bit to hold it together, so that it doesn't slip and I don't end up with them all being uneven or something. Okay, so that's all like that. Then I'm going to change to zigzag, because that's what I like. It's just what I like. Now you can, I noticed one of Carol's, she had either stitched or drawn stitches around the tops of these rather than inking. You know, so that's another option. If you've got like a dark color or something, then you could stitch on it and it would look really pretty. Okay, so that's okay. So that's good. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm actually going to use a straight stitch down here at the bottom just to hold this nicely creased, and then I'm going to use a zigzag all the way around here to hold the whole thing together. So let's do that bottom part first. I'm going to go back to my straight stitch, and I'm going just like really close to the edge. Really, really close to the edge. Oops. Caught on something. So I've probably got a little crooked bit down there, but it's white thread. It's not going to show up really. And you know I'm not a perfectionist. Let's see how that, oh yeah, that's fine. Okay, and then I'm going to zigzag the rest of it. What is that catching on? It's catching on something down there. Okay, so I'm going to switch to zigzag, zigzag all the way around. And this is cardstock. It's going through 4 layers at some parts. So my machine's handling it just fine. Okay. So you can see this is like really easy to do, you guys. And I mean, I did quite a bit of measuring, but you really don't have to. You can just like use the pieces as measurements for each other and not really have to use a ruler. And if I wasn't recording this, that's probably what I would do. I would not use a ruler for it. Okay, so here's what we have. Here's our basic little wallet. Isn't that cute? So then we can decorate it however we want. And I'm thinking that this really actually is going to be like for an anniversary card. So I don't want to make it too feminine, but I do think that a little bit of lace is called for. Did I just say I'm not going to make it feminine? I don't think lace has to make things look feminine. But see, doesn't that make a difference? It just, Yeah, it definitely needs some lace. So we're gonna do some lace there. And I'm gonna zigzag this on too. And I'm gonna do it so that it's like about halfway on and halfway off. I'm putting it so it's just a little bit above the halfway mark, so that where I'm going to be stitching will be in the center of the lace. Let's put that up above that. Okay, and so I'm gonna zigzag this on. And if you don't have a sewing machine, feel free to just use glue for all of this. I was looking at Carol's, and some of her she didn't stitch at all. She just glued, and they looked great and probably hold together just fine. I love to sew. I just really, really love to sew. So I do a lot of sewing on pretty much anything that I make. If I had enough left over, I could make a pocket on the back. Did I make? Yeah, I made one on the back of this one. So it's like this. So just, you know, a smaller pocket. And I didn't, did I sew? Yeah, I sewed this on. But sometimes I would just sew around the pocket to make it look like it's been stitched and then glue it on the back. And one thing that Carol did on one of hers was she put a magnet in here. And that way it would just stick. She put a magnet behind the end paper of a journal, and that way it would just stick to the inside of the journal. I thought that was really, really smart. The other thing that you could do is you could put a magnet inside here, inside that first pocket, and then a magnet up here, and, you know, use it as your closure, rather than, you know, like what I've got is I've got a tab here and I've tucked this under. I think I'm going to use a different closure on this one. I haven't decided what yet. Okay, so we've got this, and it's all sewn together. It's all ready for us to stick things into. See how easy that is? And I mean, this is 8 inches wide, so you can stick some pretty nice sized things into it. You can put a lot of cards, gift cards and stuff into it. I think what I'm going to do for a closure, let's look at my ribbon here and see what I've got that would go the best. Maybe blue. Blue would be very pretty. Possibly this cream, but that's not really going to show up. How about a gold? Ooh, yeah, the gold, I think, is going to look gorgeous. So let's do that. That's just one of my bins of ribbons. I have a big bin too. Okay, so I think what we want to do this time is, let's see, and that looks okay with that. Okay, so I think what I want to do this time is something here, and then make it come around. Do I want it to tie? I don't think so. Maybe have a button that it could, no, I don't really want to do a post kind of thing. I want it to go around because I just think it needs something coming down the middle. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I could just do something like this to go around a button that I put down here. Let's see what we've got in the way of buttons. I have thousands of buttons, you guys, but this is what I've got on my desk right now, so we're just going to look at these. My husband is a sweater maker professionally, and he uses vintage sewing machines, vintage hand-operated knitting machines that are so, so cool. And so he has tons of buttons. Let's see if I glue the button on, and I'd have to sew it on if I'm going to wrap the ribbon around it, right? So I really should have thought of that ahead of time. So I think what I'm going to do instead, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm so undecided. That's pretty. I like that. I may just have to figure something out later and not on the spot. But I like that. Okay, so I think I'm going to do something with that button, but I don't know what. We are coming up on half an hour, so you've got the basic idea, and you can decorate it. I mean, you could put as much stuff on here as you want to. You could do some layering. You could put, you know, like a saying or something that you've torn and really distressed and everything, and put it up there. That would be really pretty for like happy anniversary or something. I kind of don't like to put something that defines it that way, because for one thing, then it means I'm stuck using it that way, but also it makes it kind of hard for the person to use later or to regift if they want to regift it, which I don't have a problem with. So anyway, I'm going to figure out my closure, and you'll probably see it in another video in the future. You'll see how I ended up with my closure, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to use that button for something, somehow. Okay, I love you all. I will see you later. Bye-bye.